In other world news today, the United Nations has published a landmark report on climate change today. Prepared by hundreds of the world's top scientists, it lays out the impact of global warming so far, as well as the tools available to us to prevent climate catastrophe. Just to give you some of the headline findings from the report, it says today's record heat in the world will become ordinary in a generation's time. It also says that rich nations must achieve net zero carbon more quickly by 2040. Well, to unpack some of the findings with us is France 24's Shirli Sitbon, who did obtain an advance copy of the report. Shirli, just tell us, from your point of view, what do you think the big takeaway is from this?
Well, there are many takeaways, and I guess the main idea is the situation is getting more and more complex and complicated to resolve because many countries have not abided by the pledges they've made throughout the years since the COP21 in 2015. And what this report says, it's actually the fourth installment of the sixth assessment that the IPCC makes every 8 years. The idea is to get all the information, the scientific information from across the world. And what they say is that biodiversity and climate change and human activity and pollution, they're all intertwined, all interdependent, and our future depends on biodiversity, and it all revolves around what we do, our future. And we can't do anything. That's what the report says. It says, yes, the situation is more and more dramatic, more and more difficult to resolve, but we have all the know-how, all the means, all the money, all the funds. What we need basically is for governments to act, to invest so that we pollute less, we emit less, to invest in technology that will absorb carbon dioxide, and also give incentives and rules to companies and to those who pollute, because everything goes together, as we have said. Extreme weather conditions will get more extreme. You've said it. The study shows how this will evolve. For example, dry areas will be more and more dry, and areas with great amounts of water and extreme events, well, this will become more common. There are maps that were released showing that. And so, as the Secretary General of the UN has said, the situation can be resolved, but it's getting more and more complicated. And they said that there's a big difference between the 1.5 degrees increase from the pre-industrialized period and 2 degrees, because we're moving closer to a more dangerous situation. They say that if we go beyond the 1.5 degree escalation, well, then the situation will become dramatic, and many areas in the world will not even be livable. People will have to leave those areas.
It's important to point out, though, Shirli, that the United Nations has issued warnings like this before. It's called on governments to make real systematic change. Are governments listening, do you think? And do you think, crucially, they will listen this time?
Well, they have listened in a way, but not enough, because they have changed their way of acting. You remember the first meetings and the first times that the IPCC met. Well, at the time, there are many skeptics, even more than today, many people who said, well, is there really global warming? Is it just normal? Is it really due to human activity, or is it just something that's natural? Well, the work from all of these experts from across the world is no longer being debated because everyone accepts this idea and knows that we need to change our attitudes. And the work of these people many years ago, more than like a decade ago, and even before that, well, it led to pledges. Maybe the situation would have been worse had we not had those reports that are, undebatable, that are really based on science. But we need to go further. And what this latest report says is that it's not just money being spent. There's a lot of money that will be saved, because when you invest in to fight global warming, well, you don't have as much destruction. People are in good health. There are many things, many positive aspects. You don't have to see this as something that is being imposed and something that is tough, but something that is very beneficial to everyone. The report details all that and many ways to get there. We need just to change the trend. There is still an increase in emissions and deforestation. Everything has to go the other way around. And as you've said, by 2030, well, emissions will have to be cut in half, almost, says the report.
All right, well, lots of work to do. Thanks very much, Shirli, indeed, for coming in to tell us the key findings of that United Nations report on climate change. Thank you.